Ladies and gentlemen, partially due to record high levels of corruption in regards to financial markets, we have seen a pretty nice short-term move to the upside, breaking above a level like the bull market support band with a weekly candle close. That's good news, but we're by no means out of the woods yet. My position on the market over the last few weeks has been one of caution, not outright bearishness, but of caution. And that position has stemmed from the fact that I've recognized the 4-year cycle is coming towards the end of its date range trend. And with that said, any top in this region should be considered very, very suspicious. Now, with that said, we haven't seen an actual structural breakdown yet on things like the 2-week chart RSI. We also haven't seen a structural breakout on things like the 2-week chart RSI, which is why my position has been one of caution rather than outright bearishness or bullishness. I'm going to go ahead and highlight this point today, zoom in on it, and tell you exactly why it makes sense. I'm going to make sense in a market environment where many people are not making sense. The reason many people aren't making sense is because they don't understand the cycle. They don't know what it is. They don't know exactly when it should be topping, things like that, when it should break. All of these things are very important to understand if you're going to have a coherent viewpoint in this price region, with which, quite frankly, most people just don't have. The reality is right now is very, very simple. There's nothing complicated about what's happening right here. It's extremely straightforward. So I'm going to explain to you today in detail why that is. And actually, the details shouldn't take too long. It should be a relatively short video. Let's get into it. A lot of people ask me what exchange I use as a trader. I use the Bitunix Exchange, and I don't have a contract with them. I haven't signed anything with them. I don't work for them. I advertise them on my own accord. With my referral link down below, you can get a 15% trading fee discount permanently attached to your account, as well as up to 8,000 USDT in rewards just by signing up with my link down below. Why would you sign up? Well, it's global. It's non-KYC. It's never been hacked before. It's got all of the functions and pairs that you would expect for a major exchange. For that reason, I use it. And I implore you to consider using it as well. Sign up with my link to help out the channel, help out yourself. Cheers. 4-year cycle is everything Bitcoin knows. Started in 2012 with the first halving. From the 4-year cycle has arisen date range trends. Those date range trends, which you can see on the left-hand side of the screen, can be compiled together to create one larger umbrella 4-year cycle date range trend. And that larger trend points to October 2025 as the top date of this cycle. It is October 2025. Yes, there is room for error. Maybe it extends a couple more weeks, but the reality is it's October 2025. And in October 2025, back here on the 6th of October, we saw a top. It wasn't just any top. It was a rejection from very major resistance. Okay, this yellow line on the screen has never been crossed before. It goes back from 2017, cuts across 2021, and was retested 3 consecutive times before our most recent top, which created lower lows on the price chart. That's a very concerning red flag for that being a cyclical top. And that is what led to me to take a position of caution in the market after being macro bullish definitively since 2022. Now, I'm not willing to, sit here and say that we're in a bear market. I don't think that's been proven yet, which is why I say I'm in a position of caution rather than in a position of bearishness, because we haven't seen valid macro breakdowns on momentum indicators. Indicators like the 2-week chart RSI. Okay, look at the top line here. I'm going to make it yellow. 2-week chart RSI top line has marked every single major macro top in Bitcoin's entire price history. 2011, 2013, 2014, 2017, 2021, a major top even in 2024 before a 9-month correction, and we haven't tested it again. That is a very important indicator established by that one simple line. But furthermore, there's a triangle formation on the 2-week RSI, which in isolation tells us quite a lot about what's going on here. We are seeing momentum consolidation. We have been seeing that since August 2023. It is one of the explanations for why Bitcoin has been quite boring for quite a significant period of time, because momentum has been consolidating rather than being an active breakout to the upside of a downside. And hence price volatility has been relatively low. Now, until this triangle right here, which is 2.5 years old almost, breaks down or up, I'm not really convinced of anything in particular, given the cyclical context. If it breaks upwards, awesome. We can continue the bull market and move to the upside. But the important critical note with that scenario is if we break this momentum indicator to the upside, we probably would extend beyond the cycle and break the date range trends of the cycle, which has many implications within itself, right? And if we break it to the downside, given the fact we've already seen a valid cyclical top, potentially in October 6th, we would enter a bear market with the cycle. So right now, I see the two scenarios quite clearly. scenarios that I don't think many people are seeing. It seems to me that Bitcoin has two kind of choices here. One of them is break the cycle and just skyrocket and just continue the bull market, and we enter a kind of no man's land and all the trends fall apart, but at least we go upwards. And then the scenario two is we just continue downwards here. This is a dead cat bounce and we do a regular cyclical bear market. The idea of another top in the next couple of weeks that is only a little bit higher than before, that doesn't see a momentum breakout and also maintains the cycle, gets smaller and smaller and smaller by the day. It doesn't make sense, because in order to see that, we would need to be seeing the momentum indicator, the 2-week chart RSI, break out and then fake out right back downwards, which, it's possible, but you shouldn't be betting on a fake out. You should be betting on validations, of course, because betting on a fake out doesn't make sense. How can you predict a fake out with something like that? Now, as per this recent upside move, the reason why it hasn't convinced me of anything, well, one is because we haven't seen any momentum change at all. We're still in the same triangle. And two, the cyclical evidence says that very well could have been a cyclical top back in October. So really, we're looking for macro breakouts, not short-term breakouts. But three, even with the short-term breakout, we look at the short-term resistance on the volume profile, and we see it stacks high up until 117.5 thousand. So actually nothing's really even happened on short-term. The only thing that's happened with this little bounce we've seen is we've gotten above the bull market support band. Cool, that's good. That's a good sign. It's not enough. It's not enough to really prove anything. Now, as I've said multiple times, we haven't proven a breakdown either. Even the Ethereum chart, it's level on this white line from back in the 2021 all-time highs. It's flipped that level. It's held onto it. It's held onto horizontal support. Good to see. And we look at the total 3 cryptocurrency market cap, the altcoin market. It's got a similar triangle, by the way, to the 2-week chart RSI, but that's kind of a different story. Point is, it's level on lows, okay? It's flipping support. Good to see. Hasn't seen a breakdown even. I'm not sitting here saying that we're macro bearish. I'm just sitting here saying that caution is prompted given the cyclical context and the fact we're not clearly macro bullish yet. Now, a lot of people are talking about the fact that the S&P 500 has made new all-time highs in the last few days. That's true. It has. I don't think it proves anything either. And the reason I don't think it proves anything is because the correlation between the S&P 500 and Bitcoin in relation to Bitcoin's macro tops is not straightforward. Bitcoin topped out in November of 2021. The S&P 500 topped out at the start of January of 2022. It kept running for 2 months extra. If Bitcoin did truly top out on the 6th of October, we could expect the S&P 500 to run into December or even early January. Okay, that's what it did last cycle. So the S&P 500 making new highs is kind of irrelevant at this stage. Now, if it keeps going, different story. At this stage, it's not really too relevant, especially given the structure isn't particularly healthy from a TA perspective. Now, a lot of people make the argument that Fed rates cutting and money printing, quantitative easing is going to boost markets. Very, very possible. No direct proof it's happening yet. We have to trust the charts. We know that Bitcoin isn't as reactive on short-term, medium-term, and even on year-long levels to macroeconomy as people like to think it is. That's just a simple fact. We know that, for example, the entirety of the 2017 bull market occurred during a period of quantitative tightening when rates were actively rising. That's when we saw the bull market. And then when rates were decreasing, we saw the bear market. So it's not as one-to-one as we hope it would be. It's simply just not. The only thing that has been reliably predictable about Bitcoin, really ever, has been the cyclical date range trends. And for that reason, the basis of my analysis is the cyclical date range trends, and the basis of my biases are the cyclical date range trends, not any theory you might have about the macroeconomy. There is major overhead resistance coming from charts like this, there it is there, and also from charts like this, which we mentioned before, big line, let me go ahead and draw it in here. Coming back from 2017. All of those resistance zones were retested at the start of October within a valid cyclical top time frame. Until I see definitive proof that that was not actually the top, I'm taking a position of caution because that is what simply makes sense. That is the least speculative theory, the least speculative stance that relies on the least theories and the most data. That is what making sense looks like in this current market environment. Guys, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, go ahead and subscribe. Keep an eye out for future updates. Of course, I'll update you on the situation as it progresses. I'm very interested to see how it plays out over the next few weeks. I would like to note, just so you're aware, I am actually going away for a period of time in November, most of November probably. I will be posting still, maybe once every 3 days, maybe once every 4 days, something like that. The upload frequency will be reduced. It shouldn't be a massive issue unless you really like short-term analysis. I should be able to get most of the information out regardless. But just note there are some logistical problems for me in November, and I'll update you that in the community post section as more information arises. But thanks for watching. Go ahead and check out the Bitunix Exchange. A lot of people ask me what exchange I use as a trader. I use the Bitunix Exchange, and I don't have a contract with them. I haven't signed anything with them. I don't work for them. I advertise them on my own accord. With my referral link down below, you can get a 15% trading fee discount permanently attached to your account, as well as up to 8,000 USDT in rewards just by signing up with my link down below. Why would you sign up? Well, it's global, it's non-KYC, it's never been hacked before, it's got all of the functions and pairs that you would expect for a major exchange. For that reason, I use it. And I implore you to consider using it as well. Sign up with my link to help out the channel, help out yourself. Cheers.